Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today I'm at Glenglassaugh at the north coast of the Speyside. And yeah, it's a chilly morning and it's really chilly, it's really windy and it's a rough climate. You realize when you're here in November, it's really a rough and tough sea climate. And that really will affect the way that the Glenglassaugh whiskey is matured. So today we're gonna find out how that is happening. But before, let's dig a bit deeper into the history of the distillery. It was founded in 1875 and it was sold very often, it was closed very often. There was even a period of time in the beginning and in the middle of 20th century where the distillery was closed for 53 years. So there was probably a lot lost, a lot stuff decayed, really bit of a pity, but it got reopened, and in 2013 it was bought by the Benriach Limited and later then sold to the Brown-Forman Corporation. So they're now in the big arms of a big spirit company, so they are quite safe. Hopefully this will turn out nicely and we can enjoy the good Glenglassaugh spirit for a very long time. So join me today and find out why Glenglassaugh is such a nice whiskey. Again, we start with the ingredients. This is an old Portoise malt mill and it is made in England, but it's still doing its job. And per filling of the mash tun, it runs 5 tons of malted barley through it. The distillery uses mostly unpeated malted barley, but there is that time of the year, a few weeks, where they do a few runs with peated barley and they use about 30 to 40 ppm in their malted barley for their smoky whiskey. As it is a distillery at the shore, we do have a lot of malt bins. They have 12 malt bins. This is historical because as the shipments came in, they were pretty huge shipments, so they had to have a huge storage. But nowadays everything is delivered by truck, so the sizes of deliveries are 1 truckload, so they have a bit of overcapacity for their storage in their malt bins. The second ingredient for the whiskey production is, of course, the water. The distillery has 2 water sources. One is the creek right next to the distillery. They have a dam a bit south of the distillery where they take the water, and they actually use this water from the creek only for the cooling and for the cleaning processes, as it does not have enough high standards for their water in the whiskey. The water in the whiskey comes from Dunhill, which is a hill just south of here, and the water inside that hill, below that hill, is a really clear, nice and quality water source they then use in the mash tun. It is not a lauter mash tun. That means you have the grist bin and you have the water supply and you just mush it together. There's a actual masher inside that rakes everything, and then you have a huge splash into the mash tun, and it then stays there and is really hot. And to get the water everywhere inside the grist, they have a system called rake and plow. So they have a rake that turns everything and a plow that takes everything from the bottom and lifts it up so everything touches the hot water. So we get really sugary, starchy, floury liquid that is then ready to be fermented into the wash, or what we call beer. So here we have a big contrast between the new aged wash bags made of stainless steel and the wooden wash bags here made of Oregon pine. So let's talk about the differences between wash bags. Where you have the stainless steel, it's durable, it's very clean. Once you steam clean it, there's nothing inside left. And with the wooden wash bags, they're definitely steam clean, so there's pretty much nothing left at the beginning. But the microclimate and the enzymes and the bacteria that is working within the wooden wash bags is definitely a bit different to the stainless steel wash bags. And what is also very often overlooked is the temperature factor. If you touch a stainless steel washback, it's really cold and is only perceived colder as the heat conductivity is much, much higher. So the temperature within a washback, the stainless steel washback, is given off very, very easily, or cooled from the outside very, very easily. Whereas the insulating factor within a wooden washback is higher. So the problem with the stainless steel washback is that during summertime and wintertime, you have different temperatures, and therefore the fermentation is really affected by the outside temperatures. What the distillery does is, when they cool down from the mashing process, which is minimum 60 degrees, when they cool that down, they actually do it colder in summer and warmer in winter. So you have a different starting temperature for your fermentation. So you can balance that out between the different outside temperatures for the stainless steel fermenters. The wooden washbacks, they don't have that much of a problem there, so you don't have to do that much, but that's one big advantage for a wooden washback. In terms of numbers, we have about 25,000 liters of capacity in one washbag, and what the distillery does is they let it ferment very, very, very long, even beyond the point where the yeast is dead. So everything is really settled, all the bacteria and all the fermentation is really done to the very end. So they end up at about 80 hours of fermentation. Minimum is 60, and they can go up to 100 hours. This is done to ensure that they have a really fruity, light character that is really a nice character that then later becomes different due to the geographic location. They end up with a beer of about 7.5%, which is lower than not usual, but due to the fact that they're here a bit more on the outback, a bit more settled, a bit slower, that's really playing into the character of the distillery. So I'm now here in the wonderful still room, and in the rear side of the building there is the doors open, and from the still room you can actually look out into the sea. Yeah, and we do have two big stills. This here is the wash still, this here is the spirit still. They're actually really identical, and they are both meant to be wash stills. But the distillery converted this second wash still to have a spirit still, and they're using this equipment. They don't know when that happened, but it happened a long time ago. So it's kind of already traditional to use two exactly identical stills. The cutoff points are a bit narrower. We have 71 to 68% alcohol, and the foreshots are a bit longer, so they only really take the nice hard piece. For the times and the duration, the distillery takes a bit longer, distills a bit slower, and therefore you have a good alcohol separation with the reflux bowl. You have a lot of contact of the alcoholic fumes with the copper, so there are catalytic reactions that make the spirit nicer, cleaner, and just smoother. So with 6 hours in the wash still and about 7 to 8 hours in the spirit still, we do have a very good separation of fine alcohol, a nice distilled character, which will be pretty much altered due to the maturation and the location of the distillery, but more to that later. Also, the distillery has an old spirit safe, and you can see how the wash still and the spirit still are running, and you actually have to change the foreshots and the heart manually with the lever, and you have these 3 measurement dials on the right where you can measure how high the alcohol is, what the alcohol content of the current distillation process is, so you can manage your different points of the distillation and look what the hard piece of the distillate is that you want to have matured in your casks. So I'm here in one of the dunnage warehouses at Glenglassaugh. And yeah, the distillery was closed a lot of times, long times. So a lot of the history was lost and not kept so strictly as a tradition. So the brand of Glenglassaugh is not that strictly into we have to continue what the people 200 years ago did. So they can do a bit more experience in experimenting. And if I look around here, I see octave casks, very, very small, very much wood contact, so very fast maturation, many flavors coming from the wood. Then we have a long, big port pipe, 650 liters, low contact with wood. And someone scribbled ruby with chalk on it, so I'm guessing it's ruby port. And then we have a lot of sherry casks, a lot of new sherry casks on that side, a lot of old sherry casks on that side. And if you look at the dates and the numbers, they are really old. And in the back we see a lot of American standard barrels, and they come now from mostly Tennessee, as this company belongs now to Brown-Forman. And if you want to see how Brown-Forman casks are made, just search in our YouTube channel Brown-Forman cooperage. Very interesting. Yeah. The distillery also has a few racked warehouses. So they have 80% barrels, some hogsheads, some sherry casks, and as you see, a lot of cask variation with wine casks and different sherries, different ports. So it's really going to be an interesting future how this is going to turn out, what whiskeys come out. I'm really excited. Yeah. In terms of situation here, it's very cold, it's very damp. We have stamped wooden ground. And I've talked to the people here, and they say in the summer when it gets hot, the moisture rises and it's very humid in here. And that's really good for the whiskey to mature. So there's humidity in the air, so it's really hard for the alcohol to evaporate, so they don't lose that much. And the summers are not even that hot, and the winters are not that cold. So it's really a nice, calm climate for the whiskey to mature. Also, we're at the coast, so you smell a bit of a sea breeze, and it definitely has some influence on the whiskey. So yeah, a coastal whiskey. I'm really excited about trying a few of these casks. So I'm here with Alan McConaughey. You're 10 years distillery manager. You have seen how the distillery here opens again. You have 45 years of experience within the whiskey industry. Thank you very much for having us here.
It's a pleasure.
Great place. Really, a really nice place. Bit of a weather today. So how's the distillery here? I've seen the logo. I haven't gone through that yet. Per mare per terras.
Yes.
What does that mean, and what does that symbol mean?
By land and sea, and it's a symbol, the fish and so forth. One representing the land where the barley and the water comes from, and the sea, where proximity to the sea. Yeah. And you would find that would be the same sort of, ideas and so forth for Islay distilleries and so forth in the rest of Scotland, but land and sea. It's something we're very proud of at the distillery. Okay, so yeah, you definitely celebrate the sea. I would do the same if I'd had this. Well, you mentioned the weather, and we get lots of weather in Glenglassaugh. And again, but that has its effect on the whiskey that we're going to taste just now.
Okay, so what are we having today?
Okay, the first one we're having is called Evolution. This is 50% alcohol.
Ooh, okay.
Quite young. It's only about, say, 7 years old. Between 6 and 8 years old. I would say 7 years old. A lovely light gold colour. Comes really from the fact that we only use fresh bourbon barrels to store this whiskey in.
Fresh bourbon barrels?
Only, from Tennessee.
Bourbon from Tennessee, huh?
Tennessee whiskey, sorry.
Tennessee whiskey.
I'm Scottish and I make whiskey, so it's bourbon barrels, so it's Tennessee whiskey. Sorry about that.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, folks. So, yeah. A very light nose, very easy. There's a light fruity character. There's a cereal note in there, and obviously from the Tennessee whiskey barrels, you're going to get that vanilla creamy character in there.
Oh, it's a really nice light bourbon character style whiskey.
Very easy.
Yeah, not as intense as the bourbon, but just light. Yeah. And I know what you mean when you told me about the production, when you have that fruitiness.
Yeah.
You still get that character from the
very much so, especially with this one, with the choice of cask.
Yeah, it just reminds me a bit of when I smelled the washbacks.
Yeah.
There's still some left in there.
Very fruity. Yeah, very fruity character.
You don't mind if I put a bit of water in there?
Nope, not sure. No. Well, it's 50% alcohol. It's quite young. So a little water, I'm okay. I'm Scottish. I use water to make it, so I don't nice. But certainly adding the water will lift the nose.
Even more fruity, but still more fresh fruity now.
So although it's young, it's not too sharp. There's a spark on the tongue, but a very fresh, easy dram to drink. And if you want to have a dram on a hot summer's day, we don't have many of them at Glenglassaugh, but a really nice starting dram.
Yeah, this would be. Yeah, I would also recognise it as a summer's whiskey for a light summer evening or something like that.
There's still a strong fruity character in there, and you have to remember all the whiskey that's in here has been matured at Glenglassaugh. So we always discuss the angel share. So the angel share means the whiskey is breathing out, but it means the whiskey is breathing in.
Yeah.
So you have the sea, we're yards from the sea. You have that sea salty character as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit of iodine, a little bit of not smoky but phenolic character. Yeah. Just a smidge though.
Yeah. Well, you're at the sea.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes from. Yeah. Very important to us to mature our whiskey on site, either Glendronach, Glenglassaugh or Benriach. Important to us that you have all the character from the area, as well as the influence from the cask.
So okay, 2013 you said the distillery was reopened.
The distillery was reopened in 2008. Our company bought the distillery in 2013, and we inherited all of this whiskey in the casks that we found it to be in. We didn't change the casks. We didn't re-rack the casks for this whiskey. We did for the other two. But we find we're very pleased with this one, and we've carried that tradition on. Okay. And I really find it a really enjoyable whiskey. So
when you took over the company, are you gonna you introduced a kind of new product range, and what do you want to do in the future? Is there going to be any more changes?
Yeah, well, one of the problems that Glenglassaugh historically has had is its inability to stay open, which is a pity, and always the same problem at any distillery. So from 1986 it was closed until 2008, so there's a big gap. But now we've been producing whiskey since 2008. It's now approaching 10 years old. So from here, year by year, then we'll be able to introduce different ages. The more normal age, if you like, for single malt whiskies, and you'll start to see age statements appearing on the brands, and we're experimenting again. You've seen from your visit to the warehouses, we're experimenting with wine casks, with sherry casks, port casks, to give us this, even casks imported from wineries in the Crimea, from the Massandra winery, to give us a different character, Madeira, etc.
So there's going to be experimentation. Exciting future about Glenglassaugh.
Very much so.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's an unusual situation in that you have a distillery where you can almost start again. If you go to a distillery which is renowned for peaty whiskey, for example, then it's difficult to change.
Yeah, definitely.
So we have a distillery, we have very old whiskies. The oldest whiskey we have on site is from 1963.
Yeah, it's
so there's old whiskies. Problem is the gap. It's a
big gap. There is a big gap between that.
That's about 22 years. So, but now we've been in constant production since then, and we're carrying on. We'll be stock every year that we can mature and influence to our own likes.
Okay, so the Revival, that has some really nice color to it.
Yeah. Revival, again, a really nice whiskey. It's probably nearer 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But the choice of cask, we have used red wine casks, sherry casks, and some bourbon casks as well.
So it's really
It's a real mixture, we would say marriage of different flavours and characters. But again, you can see all the whiskies are non-chill filtered, natural colour. So again, if someone asks if the choice of cask is important, Tennessee whiskey barrel, red wine, sherry, and bourbon. So huge difference.
Huge difference.
Not only in the colour, but also in the taste. A much more rounded taste, if you like, more depth. This is a really pleasant, fresh dram. This one a wee bit different, and due to the cask selection.
So what ABV are we looking at?
This is 46% alcohol.
Oh, that nice 46%, huh?
Back to that again, yeah, and again we choose the alcohol content of our bottles to what we think suits the dram. You know, we don't have a hard and fast rule. If we thought 50% was too high for the Evolution, then we would reduce it. If we thought the Revival should go up to 50%, then we'll do that. So we monitor that all the time.
I do get a lot of flowers in there.
It's and very, very different. The interesting thing for me is these are whiskies from the same distillery, almost the same age. So a real difference in what you're drinking.
Definitely. It's much deeper, and it's almost going with flowers and heather. And
for me, the
wine is
you've got the bourbon. No, this is bourbon. I beg your pardon. So you have a bourbon influence, and you always pick that up from the vanilla, creamy honey character.
It's so nice in the back. You have that vanilla in there.
But you've got the sherry and the red wine characters as well. You're talking about flowers, real fruity, floral aspect from them. But I enjoy the almost caramel fudge influence from the bourbon. And again, you have that sea character. You know, it's in the background and not so intense, I feel, as with the Evolution, but a lovely drum.
Nice,
very rounded.
Nice. It's very round is one nice thing to say about that. It's round, berries, heather. Oh, incredible.
You said berries. I mean, absolutely. If not winter fruits, then almost soft fruits. You know, it's a really well-rounded dram. And again, you have the legs that we always look for. It takes a long time to come down the glass. We always that's something we always look for.
Oh, the berries are
the berries,
incredible in the taste.
Yeah, I mean the berries. Really from the red wine, and you have that spicy sherry character.
Now in the aftertaste, you do have the volume, and the wood, the intensity, a bit that spiciness coming in. Oh, that
spicy character always from the sherry cask, and with that sherry, for me on the tongue at the end, there is I wouldn't say it's the intense dark chocolate you associate with sherry, but a light chocolate character also.
Yeah, that chocolate is always a bit of a mystery to me. It's there, but it's not as chocolatey as real chocolate, but it's definitely a remembrance of chocolate, and it's incredible.
I mean, if you try the Glenglassaugh sherry whiskies, a real dark, bitter chocolate, intense sherry character. This obviously not so intense, and for me, a little light chocolate. But you know, it's.
I like it. Yeah, but it's a bit more grapey, fruity berries than usual cherry. Maybe the wine or port. I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely a bit fresh, fruitier, grapier than the usual cherry maturation.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah, but it's a combination. It's really nice. Yeah, it's a combination of red wine, matured spirit, bourbon barrels, and sherry, and you find it all in there.
If you say it's an 8-year-old, it's a non-age statement whiskey, but it's really complex for a non-age statement whiskey. I love it.
Well, we see no benefit and not using the best casks that we can source. So you get the benefit, and we're glad that you get the benefit of that. But for us, the cask is as important as the rest of the process, and that's what those flavours that we're talking about, that's where many of them will come from.
Okay, nice. So the whole area around here, do you ever go swimming? I've seen the beach there.
No.
So is it too chilly in the summer?
Not only too chilly, but me in shorts would upset the locals, I'm afraid. So very popular. The beach is fantastic for surfing.
Okay. Surfing. Yeah.
The nearest I get to the water is with my dog. My dog will go swimming, but I don't. And but the whole area, it's spectacular. It's not a very summer's day today, but even at that, then you have the waves and so forth.
Yeah.
It's
So it's really a nice thing to visit Glenglassaugh and then afterwards go for a swim when you visit in summer.
I'm still not going for a swim, but,
the tourists, as of many viewers from us, would probably come here and then.
Yeah, well, I mean, what could be better than coming to Glenglassaugh? You're on the beach. We have our own beach. We're on the beach, fantastic scenery, and then really coming to the distillery, having a little tour around and a lovely taste.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds like a really good holiday.
So I agree. I mean, all the flavours of your visit are in the glass.
Nice. So when did you start making peaty whiskey?
It would be about just under 5 years ago, and so the whiskey is young, but we're very pleased with it. It's a real peaty dram. Beg your pardon. Smoky dram, not so much of the intense peat character, but very smoky, and also you have that sweetness from the distillery that we've talked about, and the influence from the sea as well.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's very smoky.
Yeah, you told me that 30 to 40 ppm. That's going to be an intense one.
Well, it would be high 30s, approaching 40.
Okay.
And it's not always, it's difficult to get it exact, but the maltster, we use the malt supplier who is only 7 miles from here. So all the barley is sourced in Scotland, produced locally, and then transported here. So we don't lose any of the flavours or characters in transport, which is very important to us. But a real smoky, young whiskey, and we feel it's what we're looking for, and we think as years go on, then this will be a major brand for us.
So if you have your nose very far away, it's just that fruity lightness, but when you go in deeper, it just hits you with that smoke.
This maybe when a little water would be useful, because it really will lift the. In fact, I'm going to try that.
Okay.
Cheers. Cheers.
I'll try that as well.
And there is a big lift, almost certainly of the phenolic character you were talking earlier, and that smoky, less peaty, phenolic and smoky.
Yeah, before it was smoky phenolic, but now it's definitely phenolic. It's on the phenolic side. But still, that you still have a bit of fruitiness coming through.
Yeah, very much so.
It's not overwhelming.
That's from the distillery. That's from the fermentation.
The smoke is definitely the dominant flavor, but it's not pushing everything down. It's still, you still have a little bit of fruitiness, a little bit of a light, sweet vanilla character.
Again, from using bourbon barrels also. So bourbon barrels and hogsheads for the torfa, and we like our smoky whiskies to have that creamy character that the bourbon will impart into them.
Nice.
Yeah, real light, smoky, salty character from the area, and for such a young whiskey, it's a long finish and not harsh. This is 50% alcohol again, so it's high in alcohol, but you don't really detect that in the taste.
I was just about to ask. That's intense. Yeah. You have that intensity of the flavor, the peat. It's all there. So it's a high peaty whiskey. It's definitely a strong peaty whiskey. I love it. And yeah, you do have that bourbon Tennessee whiskey character. Definitely
this will be bourbon. Yeah,
this will be bourbon. Okay, so it's when the peat is fading out, you have that sweetness, vanilla, a little bit of popcorn caramel in the back.
Well, I mean, one of the distilleries I worked in before was on Islay, and we would always look for that creosote character, if you like, that phenolic character. And for me, that's there, to a degree, not overpowering, and I think it works really well with the whiskey.
Oh, nice. Oh, I love it. I love it. And I'm really looking forward to what you're doing in the future as well. That's going to be really interesting.
Well, for me also, I mean, I've been in the industry a very long time, and really this is the first time I've worked in a distillery where we can influence, if you like, the way the distillery will taste in the future. You know, we're starting almost from scratch, and it's really exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, I love it. So, thank you very much for having us here, and thanks for showing around the distillery. So, thank you very much, and thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you liked the video. Please give us a thumbs up, and see you next time.